What is up? Moritz from Wolkify.com here. I just want to shoot a quick video about a book that I'm reading right now, and I want to share some thoughts that I have on the topic of that book. So the book is called Start With Why. It's by a guy called Simon Sinek. He actually wrote at least one more book, and he also has a very popular TED Talk about exactly that topic. In that book, and I'm not fully through it, by the way, I just read like half of it so far, but in that book he talks about the importance of knowing why you're doing something. A lot of people and a lot of companies go out there and they try to sell something to you, and they only know what they want to sell you or maybe how they want to sell it to you, but they don't know why. They don't have a clear vision, and they don't have like these underlying principles, these core principles of what they're trying to accomplish. They might think like, I want to make a lot of money, or we're selling you the cheapest, best product. But that's not sufficient to really build a very loyal customer base. If you want to have people following you, if you want to be leading people, maybe as a private person or maybe as a company, you have to develop a strong sense of why. You have to be very certain about why you're doing the thing that you're doing. You really have to know why you're getting up in the morning. And I can tell you one thing, money is not sufficient for that. Nobody in the world is getting up in the morning, working 8, 10 or 12 hours a day for money. I mean, we can all make a living, and it's just not a strong enough motivator to keep you going, especially in the long run. So if you want to really hustle hard, if you want to create that following, if you want to really engage people, get people excited about what you're trying to do, what kind of difference you're trying to make in the world, you have to be very certain about why you're doing this. So while I was reading this book, I was trying to relate that to me and my situation, as I always do, especially with these kind of self-help books. I find it very important that you try to see what is really applicable to your life. What is it that you can really get out of that book and the knowledge that it's trying to share and impart on you. So I looked at my situation, and as a lot of people who watch these videos that I'm making know, I'm trying to build this community. I call it Wolkify.com. It's a web platform that I'm trying to develop for people who are passionate about self-development. People who are passionate about developing different areas of their life, may it be mental growth or physical growth, meaning fitness and nutrition and all that kind of stuff. May it be advancing in their career, may it be improving their relationships, either through their family and friend circle, but also the loved ones they have around them, like dating and improving their marriage and whatnot. So it's really for people who want to improve as much as possible in every area of life that I consider to be relevant. And at the same time, it's for people who want to cut out all the bullshit that is distracting them from that goal. So I developed that idea at the very last semester of my studies. I was studying supply chain management and logistics back here in Sweden, in Jönköping actually, beautiful town. And I didn't have a very clear idea what I wanted to do next with that. I mean, I was studying logistics, and I still feel, and back then felt, that this is kind of interesting. I mean, you really get to see how the entire world is connected and how you can make the stream of goods and services more efficient and so on and so forth. But that was merely the what and how of the equation. I didn't really know what my why was. I wasn't sure why I was studying this in the first place. I wasn't sure of why this was helpful to me and the path that I was on. I wasn't really sure why that was at all relevant, so to say, to my further life and the goals that I have for myself. So it really didn't fit the bigger picture and the way I pictured the world and my role in it. So I was studying that, and I graduated, wrote my master's thesis, passed every course that I had, and graduated. But at the same time, I always had to struggle. I always had to convince myself to sit down and study. I always had to push through. It always felt like studying is more an obstacle than a pleasure. And it was exactly because I didn't have that clear sense of why. Now, on the other hand, at that very last semester, I was coming up with that idea for Wolkify.com. So I came up with this idea, kind of crazy idea, to develop a platform that is very different from the social media platforms that we have nowadays, like YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, because I wanted to have a place where people are really sharing valuable information, not just this kind of mind-numbing nonsense, bullshit, clickbait. You know what I'm talking about. BuzzFeed, all this like instant gratification knowledge kind of dumped down for everyone to understand it, get a quick laugh out of it and move on. I didn't want that. I wanted to make a change, and I wanted to create a community that was inspired by that kind of change and that wanted to contribute to that kind of change. So I started looking into what it would take for me, as someone who has no idea about web developing or online marketing or SEO or programming or any of that kind of stuff, what it would take for me to develop that kind of platform and share it with the world. And what I noticed was that I got very, very into it. And suddenly I got very passionate about web developing, and I got very passionate about finding out the different ways of SEO, for example, improving your Google results, looking into coding, learning more about WordPress, learning how to create a following online, learning about how to write blogs in a way that is really interesting for people and intriguing and makes people share your content. I started looking into video blogging. So like all these different components came together, and the reason why that was interesting was exactly because I had a very strong sense of why I was doing that. It's not that I'm intrinsically passionate about programming or web development. I still think it's kind of fun to learn, and it's definitely a valuable skill, but it's not something that I was passionate about per se. The reason why I was passionate about and why it didn't feel like I had to force myself into learning it, but it was rather pleasurable, was that I had that very clear intent. I had that very clear vision for myself, what I wanted to accomplish, and for that greater vision that I had of things that I wanted to do in the future, I knew that I had to learn these skills in order to get here. So the why was very, very clear to me, and I was very certain that I was doing something meaningful and purposeful to get me to where I wanted to go. So the bottom line here is, and what I wanted to share with you, is that it really doesn't matter so much what kind of skills you're learning, or let me rephrase that. It doesn't really make such a big difference what you're studying, because you are not what you're doing anyway. You have to have that greater vision for yourself. You have to know why you're doing something and not what you're doing. Arnold Schwarzenegger once said that you have to know who you want to become, not what you want to become. It's not what you are, it's who you are. It's what you're doing, who you are because you're doing that, and why you're doing that. The why is really the thing that really makes the difference. You have to know why you're doing something, why you're studying, why you're learning, why you're trying to improve in a certain field of area, and why this is necessary for you and for the path that you're on. If you know that path and you're very clear about where you want to go with it, where it's going to take you, you really don't have to force you at all to do the studying and do the hard work. That's the easy part. If you have that clear sense of why, everything else will fall into place and you will never have to struggle again to convince yourself to sit down and read or do research or interact with people and talk about that topic. It doesn't feel forced anymore because you as a person, as an individual, and as a potential leader in the future know exactly why you're doing all that. And you can see the bigger picture of where this is gonna take you in the future. So this is the wisdom that I wanted to impart with you today. Again, the book is called Start With Why, Simon Sinek. Get it, read it, and hopefully you will get some knowledge from it. I will certainly finish reading it probably in the next couple of days and then write a big book review as well. So check it out. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.